friend and I finally HK'd up, and she left scratch marks all over my back. This story is about my experience with Sarah when I was 21 and she was 19. Sarah and I first met the summer after I finished sophomore year of high school and she was about to be a freshman. A little about me: I'm 6'3", played sports throughout school so was in pretty good shape, have fine light brown hair, green eyes, and am laid back most of the time. Sarah was 5 feet 10 inches, dark brown hair, almost black, big brown eyes, a spectacularly curvy SS, and perky B-cup breasts. Now, I always got the feeling that Sarah was into me, whether it was catching her glancing eye out of my peripheral vision or the way she would inevitably end up gravitating towards me when we were at the same setting. Despite being into her myself, my high school self was awkward, shy, and worried about the age difference of someone 2 grades below me. Therefore, despite the tension, I never made a move. She entered into a series of high school relationships, and I went off to college. Through this period, we still remained friends, and would grab a bite or hang out when I was back in town. Like many, college had a maturing effect on me, and I became a lot more confident in myself. After my junior year, I learned that Sarah, who had just finished her first year of university, had recently broken up with her high school boyfriend and she hit me up to hang out next time we were both back in town. Honestly, my PP stirred just thinking about the fact that she was now single. I suggested she come over to smoke a bowl, hot tub, and then we could watch a movie in my basement. She was game, and as soon as we were together, it was like no time passed at all. After proceeding to getting extremely high, I noticed Sarah's old flirtatious moves coming back out, including some lingering glances and a hand that was planted on my shoulder just a little too long. There was so much tension in the air, I was filled with a mix of excitement, nerves, and years of pent-up desire. Soon, we changed into our swimwear and my jaw almost hit the floor when I saw Sarah walk out of the bathroom. Her pert nipples stood fully erect, providing a clear outline through her red bikini top. But better still, her bikini bottoms were practically swallowed by her bodacious SS, leaving little to the imagination and a growing bulge in my trunks. As soon as we entered the water, our flirtations became even more intense. From the opposite corner of the jacuzzi, her foot began tracing up and down my leg. I could feel the smoothness of her legs as my hands soon returned the favor. We didn't say anything as our extremities continued exploring one another, and our hungry eyes locked. Her foot started climbing up the inside of my thigh and finally I broke. I teased, "If you keep going that way, who knows what you'll find." Just like that she bounced over across the water, just inches away from me and responded with a cheeky smile, "Oh yeah, and what if I do this?" before leaning in and straddling me as our lips became entangled in one another. Just like that, the floodgates opened and we were all over each other. My hands gripped each cheek of juicy SS while my tongue traced her soft, supple lips. We quickly made our way out of the tub and back to the basement where our furious makeout session continued. I was still living with my parents and warned her that we were going to have to be quiet. Her hands traced the growing bulge in my shorts before pulling them down, releasing my throbbing PP, and her response stuck with me. "There's no way I'm going to be able to be quiet with this thing," she said, now gripping my fully erect member in her hand. Now, I've never considered myself huge, but I'm a little over 7 long and around 6 around, see my profile for pics, and this was the ultimate ego boost. She continued, "You're just going to have to figure out a way to keep me quiet," before she went down to her knees, looking up at me with her big brown eyes. In her most seductive voice, she said, "God, I've wanted to do this for so long," and her lips wrapped around my throbbing head. With one hand she stroked my erect shaft while her tongue swirled around my head, continuing to look up at me the whole time. Soon, she began working more and more of my heavy PP into her mouth as I began to feel my PP hitting the back of her throat. She pulled off me with one long spit strand connecting her lips to my head, now dripping with Prec M, and said, "I need you to F me right this second." Well, that's all I needed to hear. I laid her down on the couch and with almost no resistance at all my thick PP slid into her soaking wet wimp as Sarah released one of the most satisfying moans into my ear that made my impossibly hard PP throb even harder. With my thick, throbbing PP stretching her out with each long thrust, Sarah began moaning, loudly. When I tried reminding her she needed to be quiet, she said, "Make me," which only seemed to increase the intensity of the situation. One of my large hands moved over her mouth while the other gripped firmly around her throat while I continued to plunge my thickness deeper and deeper into her desperate wimp. Her eyes grew wild and her nails furiously dug into my back while my pulsating PP split open Sarah's tight wimp with long, hard, deep strokes. I could feel that familiar feeling building up in my balls, and evidently so could Sarah. Through my fingers, her muffled voice managed to say, "CM inside me," over and over again while her nails continued to ravage my back in her ecstasy. Finally, my PP exploded in her wet, inviting hole, filling her up with my hot seed while Sarah SHK with her own org small as I pulled out. My CM came oozing out of her, covering her wimp in my white glaze. We continued to F 3 more times that night, getting out years of pent-up intimate frustration and leaving me with scratches across my back. For the next week. Unfortunately, that was the only time we HK'd up, but to this day remains a very hot memory for both of us. Hope you all enjoyed it.